What is up, guys? My name is Stevie and welcome to Stevie Speaks Media, where I do reviews on movies, music, and games. And today I have a very special guest with me today, my lifelong gaming partner, my best friend, and my cousin. Welcome, Samantha!
Thank you for having me today.
Of course. So today we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite horror games of all time. So let's get started because things are about to get real. Number 5 on our list is Deadly Premonition. So Deadly Premonition, I just kind of stumbled upon it by accident, and it was a game that I wasn't really sure I was gonna like. I was like, okay, this game is like very strange, it's kind of weird, and like I didn't really know what to think of it at first, but as I was going along in the storyline, I was like, holy crap, this game is so unique, it's so original. It even has like some, humor to it as well. It's very quirky, it's very creative in its own way. I know a lot of people were saying that it was very similar to the show Twin Peaks, but hey, if you like the show Twin Peaks, you'd probably like this game too. So
yes, absolutely. A lot of the things too in this game as well, the touch base on, like she said, it has to do a lot with Twin Peaks. You play as a special kind of ancient who he himself has a very unique personality.
Yeah, he does.
He's very funny, kind of a quirky dude.
Very enjoyable.
Yes.
Very enjoyable to play him.
It's not really like a game. Some of it does make you feel a little uneasy, I would say, but then there's also parts that kind of balance that out. They throw a little bit of dark humor in there, some humor, and some of my favorite parts of it too was the soundtrack, the music of the game, and some of it, like, there could be a really serious scene going on. There's like music with trumpets playing, and it like just doesn't make any sense. So it kind of gives it like its own spark and uniqueness. And again, going back to how it is like Twin Peaks, you're playing again as this special ancient who goes to this remote small town to investigate a murder of a young woman. And when you go around, it's a choice-making game. Some of it is a choice-making game, and there's a lot of twists and turns in it. Some of the people you wouldn't expect to be who they really are. So it's definitely a game worth trying out, and something that doesn't really get talked about on these kind of lists with other YouTubers. So we definitely had to add this one in here.
Yeah, it's a hidden gem for sure.
Absolutely.
And the characters in this game are they're so odd. They're so odd, which is like charming because when you go to like small towns, everybody knows everybody, and like everybody is just kind of weird in their own way. So that kind of adds a nice like little.
You kind of also see the true colors of the people that are there. That again, like you wouldn't expect. So that's another cool thing about this game.
So if you have never played this game before, definitely check it out. I will put every single game that we talk about today in the description below so you can get it yourself. So moving on. Number 4 on our list is Silent Hill Homecoming. So I feel like we're in pretty good unison about this game in general just being very underrated in terms of the Silent Hill franchise and the horror game community as a whole. I feel like not a lot of people give this game a lot of credit because for its time, the originality that it emerges is pretty incredible. I feel like it's probably the only game in Silent Hill, and I could be wrong, but I feel like especially at that time, it was one of the only games in Silent Hill that had you make some really tough choices in the game and that actually determined what kind of ending you would get at the end. So that was probably my favorite part of the whole entire game, was the fact that you get these incredibly hard choices throughout the game, and then come to find out that they actually completely alter the way that your story is going to end. So I thought that was really cool and creative.
Yeah, and also the game had excellent graphics for its time too. Just,
absolutely.
I mean, beautiful, some of it. And so about this game briefly, you play as a man named Alex who's coming home from duty, and he experiences some things like no other. And a lot of the twists and turns that go along with this game, some of the characters that he actually knows from his past and a lot of what their true colors are and the kind of people that they are, and he starts to understand what's really going on here,
and unravel a lot of like stuff.
Really deep secrets and twisted things that come about this whole place. And a lot of new villains are also introduced too, which I really like. Some of them very spooky as well. And the way, like, I have a thing about certain like movements on things, like when something's like moving in like a robotic kind of way, or like just the way they carry themselves,
like the weird like twitches,
kind of like the nurses in a sense. Like that's kind of a better example. Like just the movement of them is creepy. It's very creepy to me personally. And so again, and also like she had mentioned, the choices in the game are extremely gut-wrenching. I mean, some of this stuff, it's like you have to sit there and like contemplate for a while, like
what a stab in the heart, man.
Yeah, like what am I gonna choose here? And again, it alters your ending too with it, and it's an underrated game. And a lot of people, I do not follow the reviews with that, because I'm a huge fan of Silent Hill, and no matter what the reviews are, I will stay dedicated to it, and I will play it no matter what, and I will make my own choice in the end. And that's why we felt that putting it on this list was
important, because I feel like a lot of other people rate like the typical games like PT, Silent Hill, and games like that, which are incredible games.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like this game for its time was just it was so ahead. It was so ahead of its time, because there was not a lot of choice making games out there. I mean, there could have been like one or two, but I feel like that was a really cool thing to do in that game. So if you like a very weird, twist and turny, like, whoa, what just happened kind of storyline, definitely play this game. And if you are a fan of Silent Hill in general, movies, games, whatever, and you've never played this game because maybe you were afraid of, like how bad some of the reviews were, whatever, but we're here telling you, being huge horror game fanatics, we play this game multiple times. So if you have not, go buy the game, because it is incredible and you will not be sorry.
Right. And one thing I will also mention before we move on is that the one con I do have about this game, and I think you could also agree with me, is the controls when it comes to combat style. You do get your selection of different kind of weapons throughout the game, but some of it is a little bit clunky to me. It was a little bit clunky and kind of just like, one movement kind of combat, like just something that just doesn't seem organic. It's not very, that's like robotic to me.
Yeah.
So that was probably the only thing I did not like about this game. But I feel like with everything else that goes along with it, it outweighs the cons.
It
for
really
sure.
does.
The pros do outweigh the cons in this game. So we definitely recommend this game to try out if you haven't already.
Go get it. Number 3 on our list is Resident Evil 7. So I'm actually really excited to talk about this one, because we've played Resident Evil since we were like yay high. I know you can't even see my hand, but that just goes to show you just how young we were.
Yeah.
So we've been playing Resident Evil games since like we were like 5 or 6 years old. Like that's how crazy about horror we are. So I remember back in the day, we used to play like Resident Evil like 2, Resident Evil 1. I know I just went backwards, but I love the franchise. And the reason why I love the franchise as a whole is because the Resident Evil games, they're like goofy. They're like, they have like this like charming, quirky thing about them.
Leon Kennedy.
Yeah, Leon, Chris Redfield, like they're ridiculous characters, and like you kind of grow to love them, and I feel like I almost kind of like grew up with them in a sense, because
absolutely.
And it's a game franchise that like holds near and dear to my heart. Silent Hill too, but I feel like Resident Evil just like takes the cake.
That's
for
where
me.
it's at with us.
We used to play Resident Evil 5. Like we still play Resident Evil 5. Like we're on like War Hero. Like that's how good at that game that we are, because we've played it so many times. So what I thought was kind of refreshing about Resident Evil 7, and it's not my favorite Resident Evil game as a whole, because I love the older ones. They just have a certain charm about them. But in terms of the horror franchise, like what's like scary in our eyes, because let's face it, Resident Evil, like older games, they're really not that scary. They're just, you know.
I mean, one did have its spookiness for sure,
and so did 2.
And that's exactly how zombies are supposed to look. That's just how like they started.
I want your brains,
right?
Not like
rotting flesh, not just like just some like that dude looks like he's homeless, he's a zombie. You know, it's just that's the one thing I kind of didn't like
about 5 was like that, 6 was like that. So what was cool about number 7 was that it finally had that like horror scary factor about it. That was the first time that me and Sam both agreed, like, wow, like Resident Evil really stepped up their game in terms of like scariness, because this game is not like the older ones. This isn't funny. This isn't like, there's nothing funny about this game. It doesn't have that like quality to it. It had a really scary, spooky factor about it. And the storyline was cool. I liked the storyline. I liked how there's certain scenes in the game where you're playing as the characters that, so like your character's watching like a tape, and then it's like hard to explain because like then you turn into the character in the tape, and then it kind of gives you some clues about what you're supposed to do as like
in the present time.
In the present time. So I thought that was really unique too, and the graphics were gorgeous, and I love the characters too, and I thought it was a really good game.
And let's definitely not forget about the jump scares either.
Oh yeah.
We all know how jump scares can be completely predictable and very aggravating, because you're like, you know, everything goes silent, something's coming.
Yeah.
With this game, it's like I actually jumped. And again, like I said before, I am not somebody who gets scared easily.
I do, but that's why I love horror games.
Yes.
But she does not get scared easy.
No, I don't. And it's and for me to jump, that's saying a lot. And there were definitely scenes that I felt extremely uneasy, like claustrophobia and bugs and stuff like that. So like there's scenes, especially for people who are very squeamish with bugs.
And there are centipedes.
Yes, I am definitely afraid of centipedes, and there are some scenes where you kind of go literally up and close with them, and it really made me feel uneasy. But again, like even though I don't like that kind of stuff, because of that is why I like this game, and why what you mentioned, they really stepped it up this time, and I feel like that's what Resident Evil is supposed to be about.
So number 2 on our list is Dead Space, the first one. So we played this game together when we were probably like in 6th grade, I would say. I would sit there and I'd watch her play whenever I would come over, and I would just be like in awe, like watching this game. And I wasn't the one that was playing it, and I was like scared out of my mind. And that's why I think that this game definitely deserves to be on this list.
Yes, definitely. This game gives you a huge sense of isolation. A lot of the different areas you go into this game, I mean, there's just bloodshed everywhere, and it just gives you that uneasy feeling in every single room you go into. You do have your own little safe havens, of course, like every horror game does have that little safe haven you go to, but this one in particular, it's very limited, and the weapons in this game as well are excellent. It gives you kind of a little bit of a push, like, you know, I can get through this, I can do this, you know, because the weapons you are given in this game are really good. So you know, you don't get like some puny, like little gun, whatever.
Like a little pistol that they always give you in games.
These are actually very original looking, and they're very futuristic. It's supposed to be like a futuristic game. So with this, you play as a man named Isaac Clarke. He's a space engineer who ends up on this remote spaceship that they get crashed into. They have no choice but to land it. So you're only there with 2 other people. And again, this is not something where everything goes so well, of course. And people, you can't always trust everybody.
Which is a
there.
good life lesson, actually.
Yes. So this is not a choice-making game by any means. It's just more of getting out. So it's just, again, survival horror. And the guy you play as, he's a brave man. I gotta say, I mean, out of all the games I've played, I mean, I feel like this guy's got it the worst. I mean, this poor man, you know, and so he's a very likable character. You don't really know too much about him in the game, just besides the fact that he's a space engineer, but it's good to have a little bit of that, you know,
mystery.
Yeah, exactly, mystery. And with but once you do kind of get through that, you do get a break, and it's not like a back-to-back boss fights. I know that some games like to do that, which I can't stand. I can't stand when you know, in Resident Evil 4, you know, like in Resident Evil 4, when you fight against
constant.
Right, you fight against the two the giants or whatever, the El Gigante or whatever, and then after that you fight against like that weird like scorpion looking thing. It's like, what the hell, you know, like I just got over this bullshit, now I'm going to this bullshit.
Like, let me breathe,
right,
man.
so at least in Dead Space they do give you a little bit of a break, but sometimes it can get a little bit overwhelming, but that's the whole point, right, is that there's got to be some scenes.
You need some challenge.
It's not going to just be like La La Land, we're just walking through and everything's great, oh, he's a hero, he makes it out. So this game, it's really good. It's really good. And I know a lot of people know this game, and you know, anyone watching will probably be like, I've heard of Dead Space. But for the people who haven't, you gotta give it a try. It's so good.
And if you have played the game, then, and also for the people that have not played the game, we definitely recommend that you put on earphones, because it gives you a completely whole new experience. In general, you hear like little like creepy like, you know, like you just hear them in the walls and in the vents.
You don't know where they're coming from.
Right, so it gives you like this cool like surround sound feeling. So even if you have played the game and you've never tried it with headphones, like we recommend that you try it with headphones. So this is definitely a game that we like to talk about older games, especially like the early 2000 games, because they were like the OGs of the horror games you see now. So if you haven't played this game, we definitely recommend that you try it.
Yes.
Number 1 on our list. Can we get a drum roll, please? Outlast. So Outlast, the first one, we gotta clarify the first one. The second one was good, but the first one takes the cake. It takes the cake. Okay, I have to take a deep breath because we're gonna get really excited about talking about this game. So we play this together too. As you can tell, we play a lot of games together because that's just our...
Pretty much all of them we play together.
Just our thing, you know? Mm-hmm. So this game, it freaked me out. And it freaked her out too. And like we said earlier in this video, she doesn't get freaked out that easy. Mm-hmm. I do, but it's just like, that's my favorite part of games actually, is just, you know, getting like really freaked out about them. So this game is just like an A+ like throughout the board. The storyline's really good. The creep factor is really good. You get that like eerie feeling in your stomach just like the whole time, just like you don't know who to trust. I mean, because you're stuck in this insane asylum the whole time, and that in itself is spooky because these people, you don't know if they want to kill you or, you know, they're just, you don't know. Yeah. And that is just freaky just in of itself. You don't know like what
you're gambling really with, you know, what's about to happen. You just don't know.
And I feel like this is just, in terms of survival horror, I feel like it's probably one of the freakiest ones that we've ever played. I feel like there's not really any puzzles in this game. It's just, you know, it's a lot more stealthier. Yes. You don't have any weapons. You know, it's not like a, you know, your guns a-blazing kind of game. You have to do a lot of hiding, a lot of sneaking around, a lot of, which that too is freaky because like, oh my god, like, and then it's only a puzzle in a sense when like you're hiding from somebody and then you have to watch their patterns, like the way that they're walking around the building. Like, okay, so I know once he goes over here, I have a chance to escape and try to find a way out of here. So I don't think I've ever really played a game where you don't have any weapons, and then you have this handheld camera thing, and
which is your only power source.
Yeah, for light. You can't see without it. So
you don't get a flashlight.
So you have to keep trying to find batteries for this thing, and that is just stressful too. Yeah. So in terms of survival horror, this is a survival horror game. You have nothing to defend yourself with. Your only option is to hide and run. So like that's just, it's phenomenal.
Yes, yes. And the characters in this game, holy shit, they are just terrifying.
So scary.
We will mention what they look like or what they're about or anything, but when you play this game, you will know exactly what we're talking about. There are characters that are just unbelievable. I mean, a shout out to Red Barrel who made this game. Excellent. I mean, they really thought outside the box with this one. They really made it so original. And the DLC with it is also really good because there's also some games out there that have the DLCs that are just terrible, and like the ones you pay for and you're like, what the fuck, excuse my French, what did I just pay for?
Right.
And you know, and some of them are just ridiculous, but with this one, if you get the Outlast game, definitely get the DLC with it. It's only $10 more on the Xbox store.
It's like it's almost like a whole other game.
Well, and I do believe now, if you're so inclined to want to play the second one as well, you could actually get the whole bundle pack for like $30. So I mean, you're basically just paying $10 for each game. So yes, the second one again is a good game, but it's not as good as the first one. To us personally, we agree that the first one was a lot scarier. Mm-hmm. And like she said, there's not any puzzles or anything. It's just more thinking.
It's strictly survival horror. Yeah,
yes, you gotta think very quick. And then there's also, you know, there's some characters too, like she said, that you don't know if they're gonna attack you. Some of them will cower in the corners and they don't, you know, they won't bother you or anything, but obviously
you don't know.
Yeah, and there's
I'm over here like squinting my eyes, like, is he gonna jump? Is he gonna jump? Is he gonna jump?
Yes, and there's also a lot of excellent jump scares in this game.
Yeah, there is.
Very unpredictable.
Your heart is like racing, like
yeah.
Like the chase scenes, or they're insane. They're insane.
They are literally insane, and you know, so you know, they're literally insane.
They're literally insane, knee slapper.
Yes, and so you know, it's that's what I really like about the game, because you know, it kind of does give you a sense of reality in a sense. Not that I'm trying, you know, I would never make any offense to somebody who has any mental illnesses by any means, but with this game, it's like, it just kind of gives you that sense of reality a little bit, you know,
right,
like anything could happen, you know, there's a lot of crazies in the real world, and you know, it's like,
if you were put in that situation, you honestly wouldn't have probably any weapons. Maybe like you would maybe like find like a knife or you know, maybe something blunt that you could use, but in reality, like in some of these games, like you get like all these really cool weapons, but that's not the reality of it. You wouldn't get that much ammo, you wouldn't get that much, you know.
So that's basically what I mean by like it being more realistic than any of these other games, you know. So like obviously with like Dead Space, there's no necromorphs, and you know, with Silent Hill, there's no nurses or pyramid heads. So but with this game, I mean, yeah, it does have a little bit of some realistic, you know,
elements to it. For sure.
Absolutely.
Like even the details of like you having to find batteries throughout this game, like that is so realistic, because you would have to do that if all you had was your handheld camera. Yeah. And then, you know, in today's day and age, we'd only have our cell phones, and we all know how fast those die too, so that just like adds like that extra tension to the game. So if you have not played this game before, we definitely recommend you playing Outlast and Whistleblower. And then of course we also like Outlast 2, but you definitely have to play the first one first. It's not essential to know what happens in the second one, but the first one you get the feel of, you know, where it all started. And they're pioneers.
Yes.
They're pioneers when it comes to this particular game, because there's really not too many like that out there. It's so simple. It's so simple with the graphics, but that's okay, because like everything else in the game is just is so well thought out. and so different from a lot of
I mean,
games out there.
it also did start as a PC game too, and then, you know, not too long ago they actually made it available for all consoles, which is great because I'm not a PC player. So when it came out on Xbox, I was ecstatic. I was so excited. And again, with the DLC Whistleblower, there is a character in that DLC that, you know, we're definitely not going to touch base on that because we'd like for you guys to see what that's about. Probably the most insane character out of the entire series. I mean, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, once you see this person, you'll know exactly who we're talking about. And that's when it starts to become extremely uneasy. Like, it kind of, like, that scene in particular that you'll see in the DLC kind of, you know, is much scarier than anything that happened in the first one.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. So go ahead and get it if you have not before.
Yes.
That was our list, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching our video. If you like this video at all, give some love to the like button down below or shoot us a comment. Let us know if you agree with our list or not. If you want to see more videos just like this one, hit that subscription button right there. But until then, that's a wrap.